The second example is to modify the TLP but correct the CRC this time. So we'll use the same traffic. We use a configuration read that goes through the jammer. This time the configuration read the integrity will be good because the LCRC was fixed. However, it's now a different TLP because the register field is different. So we're actually asking for data from a different register. That TLP, because as far as the data link layer is concerned, is intact, it will be acknowledged, and then the completion will come back. The completion will be a proper completion. The integrity is good. However, the data that's inside that is going to be incorrect. So we're going to create a case where we actually ask for wrong data. That will be acknowledged and the transaction will be complete. Now we can see that in the live system. The second example is going to be very similar to the first. One thing that I would like to point out from the first example here is the device ID and vendor ID fields. In this case, it's 5016 and 1987. By modifying the TLP in the original case, changing the register field, because we broke the CRC, this caused the packet to be invalid, but when the packet was replayed, it was replayed correctly, so we got the correct device and vendor ID back. So the next example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, it's very similar, so it's going to use the same recording options, the same settings here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this box that says recompute LCRC. Now what this is going to do is this is going to say, okay, I'm changing a bit within the packet. I'm changing the same bit, but this time I'm going to make the CRC correct on the bit on the packet. So that means the packet will be valid. So when I run the same process here, as I press OK, I'm going to run the jammer and the analyzer. And then I'm going to run the exerciser script, exactly the same script. So the analyzer triggers. And then uploads the trace. Now what we have, once I hide the update flow controls and skip order sets, I don't see a NAC this time. What's happened here is I've modified the config read TLP. Let me turn on the wrap again here. And then you can see I changed the same field, the register field, from a 0 to a 1. But this time I've applied the PCIe rules for the LCRC. So now what happens is the packet that came out of the jammer was actually a valid packet as far as the data link there is concerned. So it did receive an acknowledge and it did receive a completion. But what you can see here is the data for the device and vendor ID is not the correct data. So this is an example of how you could use the jammer to modify an address field or a register field, which results in invalid data in the completion. So while at the data link there, this transaction is perfectly okay, the data in the payload is actually incorrect.